Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be using a tier list to rank the greatest southpaw boxers of all time. Let's get into it. Alrighty, so I have about 24 southpaw boxers, you know, boxers who were southpaw, talented, they were champion at some point, they were good at some point, they were well known at some point. So southpaw, if you don't know, okay, there's orthodox, so with the left hand up, which is the most popular way, okay, I'm an orthodox boxer. Then there's southpaw, okay, with the right hand up. Alrighty, so it has their advantages and disadvantages. Usually, if you're a southpaw boxer, you have the advantage because you're fighting against orthodox boxers, higher chance. Alrighty, so you're gonna have different angles. You're gonna have different ways to hit them, different techniques, different game plans that your opponents are gonna have to prepare for. So being a southpaw boxer definitely has its advantages. All right, that's why it's so popular. That's why they made a whole movie on southpaw with Jake Gyllenhaal. Already, it's very important thing in boxing. If you're a southpaw boxer, if you're comfortable as a southpaw, well, you're gifted. Alrighty, so some on here considered switch fighters like Marvin Hagler and Terrence Crawford, who I'm going to put it up pretty high soon, but they're still southpaw. They're still comfortably southpaw. So right off the bat, we always do S tier. Okay, and I think the greatest southpaw boxers of all time are, first of all, Manny Pacquiao. I think he's arguably the best southpaw boxer of all time. All right. I mean, 8 division world champion. We know how good Manny Pacquiao is. So quick. Probably the most explosive boxer of all time. Very powerful. S tier for Manny Pacquiao. Another S tier is Marvin Hagler, one of the greatest middleweights of all time, one of the greatest boxers of all time. He was more of a switch hitter, but his switch hitting, he wouldn't do one round of orthodox, one round of southpaw. His switch hitting was more so of gazelle punches, leaping punches, where he would switch in the air to kind of make awkward for his opponents. When he would switch hit, when he would be in his orthodox stance, it was for very small amounts of time throughout the fight. Like I said, he wasn't staying there for a minute or a whole round. Just quick punches. He would do quick gazelle punches, quick combos he would do for 5 or 10 seconds, then he get back to southpaw. But that switch hitting is what allowed him to land punches, allowed him to win rounds. But other than that, I mean, just being as a boxer in general, undisputed middleweight champion, went crazy in the 80s. All right, one of the best middleweights of all time. Marvin Hagler, definitely S tier. Pernell Whitaker, one of the best lightweights of all time. Definitely the best lightweight behind Roberto Duran, one of the best defensive boxers of all time. Sweet Pea, Pernell Whitaker, as a southpaw, definitely S tier. Terrence Crawford, I'm going S tier. He's also a switch hitter. He does more switch hitting sometimes than Marvin Hagler. But what I say, he's one of the most well-rounded boxers of all time. All right, Terrence Crawford is, whether you like him or not, one of the most well-rounded boxers of all time, has the power, has the defense, has the chin, has the ring IQ, has everything to him, has the speed. There's not really a flaw in Terrence Crawford's game. All righty. Two-time undisputed champion, you name it. He was a lightweight champion. He keeps going. Now he just won his fourth division title against Israel Majimov. Doesn't look the best. He's getting up there. Either way, prime Terrence Crawford, one of the most complete fighters of all time. Definitely S tier. All right, so let's start to go in order now. Winky Wright. So his power wasn't so much there as a southpaw. When you think of Winky Wright, you think of his defense, his high guard defense, probably the best high guard defense of all time, one of the best defensive boxers of all time. Offensively, wasn't the best, and the main focus is southpaw. And when you think of southpaw, it's your stance. That's your offensive stats, not so much your defensive stance. So Winky Wright, good boxer, good champion. But as a southpaw, I'm gonna go B. Alexander Usyk, he can make the case for S tier as well. I mean, listen, one of the best cruiserweight boxers of all time, undisputed heavyweight champion of all time, was undisputed at cruiserweight in the four belt era. Very technical boxer, one of the most skilled heavyweights of all time. I know people are going to like hearing that. They're not going to like hearing that, but I really believe that. He's another complete boxer who has it all. He has the power, has the ring IQ, has the defense, very skilled boxer as a southpaw. I'm going S tier for Alexander Usyk. The outside galaxy. So he's pretty underrated. That's because he was a super flyweight champion. He was the super flyweight champion or just champion in general for over 6 years. Already very underrated. 47 wins, 41 wins by knockout, only one loss. Alrighty, he was very good, very underrated though, just with him being very small. Not many people think of him, but when we're talking about southpaws, I definitely want to include him. I'm going B tier for Galaxy. So I have Manny Pacquiao in here twice. That's because I had to use it for my thumbnail. I'll put him at the end. We won't use him. Prince Nassim Hamed, one of the best featherweights of all time. I get it. He annoyed a lot of people when he beat Marco. I'm sorry, when he lost to Marco Antonio Barrera, when he faced Marco Antonio Barrera, I should say, he got exposed, but that was his only loss of his career. He was a champion for a while. Prince Nassim Hamed was. He was good. He was skilled. The question is, am I A or B? As a Southpaw, I'm putting him at A, dude. When I'm talking about Southpaws, I'm putting Prince Nassim Hamed at A tier. Anybody wants to argue with me? Anybody wants to dispute that? Feel free down in the comments, but I'm putting Hamed at A tier. Michael Moore, of course, people think of him as that loss against George Foreman, but Michael Moore was a very good light heavyweight. All right, was a good reigning light heavyweight champion and then a good reigning heavyweight champion. So, light heavyweight and heavyweight champion, very good Southpaw, one of the really better heavyweight southpaws because there's not really many heavyweight southpaws in the history of boxing. But Michael Moore was a very good lightweight boxer, heavyweight champion, fought in a good era. I'm going A tier for Michael Moore. Guillermo Rigondeaux, so one of the better Cuban boxers of all time, didn't have a lengthy career. 22 wins, 3 losses. I mean, there still could be a fight coming up. He's not officially done, but I'd say, he's definitely deserves to be on here as one of the better Southpaw boxers. He was the unified super bantamweight champion for quite some time. He's a very skilled boxer, very good boxer. But I'm gonna go B tier for Rigondeaux. Gervonta Davis. Alrighty, so he's new, just like Shakur Stevenson. And but definitely deserves the recognition. Definitely deserves to be on here. Insane power for his size. He could do it all. He's a good boxer. He's one of those guys who you could also say is a complete boxer. I have to say A tier for Tank Davis. Shakur Stevenson, three division champion. All right. You don't be a three division champion by being born and just being boring and being a runner. All right. That's not what happens. Shakur Stevens a very skilled boxer. What he lacks is power. What he lacks is facing good quality opponents. What he lacks is having exciting fights. But Shakur Stevenson as a southpaw, I say he is B tier. All right. What's stopping him from being A tier is, of course, the lack of good quality opponents and power. But I'm saying B tier for Shakur Stevenson when it comes to being a southpaw boxer. Zab Judah. Now, I can't be the only person who always keeps confusing Zab and Jab because Jab boxing, Zab Judah already. I'm sure I'm not the only one who calls him Jab Zuda. He was the junior welterweight champion for 4 years, undisputed welterweight champion. Fought some good fights, fought some really good fights. 44 wins, but he had 10 losses. But that's what happens when you fight a lot of good quality opponents. But where do I do? Do I put him at A or B tier? Do I put him on the same level as Tank, Michael Moore, and Nassim Hamed? Or on the same level as Winky Wright, Shakur Stevenson? He was a good boxer, though. He was a good boxer. I'm going to go A tier for Zab Judah. Edwin Valero. So a sad story, of course, with him passing away early. 27-0, undefeated, champion in 2 divisions for multiple years. All 27 of his wins, though, were by knockout, and that's definitely impressive. But of course, it's just unfortunate the length of his career wasn't there. The quality of opponents weren't there. He could have accomplished a lot more. It's unfortunate what happened, in his life, and it's unfortunate what boxing missed out on, what the fans missed out on, what his family missed out on. Unfortunately, though, I'm going to put him as C tier. Vasily Lomachenko, 3 division champion, in my opinion, one of the most skilled boxers ever. Top 10 most skilled boxers ever of all time. You could argue that he's top 5. I mean, the facts are there. His footwork's insane. His IQ's insane. Very skilled boxer. He's getting older now. Alrighty, so it's unfortunate. I thought he was robbed against Devin Haney. I thought he should have been the undisputed lightweight champion. He's older now. We're not going to see much of Lomachenko, but in his prime, probably the greatest amateur boxer of all time with his crazy record, I say Lomachenko is A tier. What stops him from being S tier, like his Ukraine brother Alexander Usyk, is because he wasn't undisputed. He didn't beat top. Well, he did beat top guys, but he didn't go undisputed in 2 weight classes. What I'm trying to say, like Usyk did. He has 2 losses to his record. Haney, or he has 3 losses to his record. Haney, Orlando, and Teofimo Lopez. Alrighty, so that's what hurts him. That's what stops him from being S tier. But he definitely, definitely deserves A tier. Errol Spence, one of the better welterweights over the past 20 years. No doubt about it. His loss against Terrence Crawford, though, disappointed me. Terrence Crawford's a better boxer, but the way that he beat up on Errol Spence like that, sad way to go out. And I get it. You can blame it on the car accident. You can blame it on the eye injury and things like that. For right now, though, I'm putting Errol Spence as C tier. This people are gonna really, go crazy. I'm not disrespecting Errol Spence, but he didn't accomplish as much as these guys here, nor are these guys here. Very, very close to B tier. I'm not saying that if he would have beat Errol Spence, he would be B tier, but if he didn't go out the way he did, and he's, hasn't fought since that loss, we don't know if the fight's coming up yet. I want to see what he does at 154, and then he can change my mind, bump him up to B tier. But for now, Errol Spence is C tier. Adonis Stevenson, good super middleweight and light heavyweight champion. Well, he won the light heavyweight titles, held them for quite some time, about 3, 4 years. He was good first time, but I'm going to go C tier for Adonis Stevenson as well. Vincent Saldivar, so one of the better featherweights of all time, was a very good, dominant, tough featherweight from the 60s. Like I said, one of the best featherweights of all time. When people talk about Southpaw boxers, they're talking about him. They're mentioning him. Already for that, I'm putting him B tier. Hector Camacho. So one of the most exciting fighters ever, but he had like a 50% KO percentage. He had like 79 wins, 38 by knockout. Okay, but he was a good, flashy boxer. He had some good wins, some good fights, but his career was a bit inconsistent, very long. All right. When you have a long career, there's going to be some inconsistency in there, some losses, some periods where you're in a divot, where you're in a hole, you're trying to get back out. But Hector Camacho was a champion. He's one of the better southpaw boxers of all time, one of the more exciting boxers of the late 1980s and early and mid 1990s. He was also a three-division champion. Alrighty, I'm putting him B tier. Rest in peace to Hector Camacho. Joe Calzaghe. So is he better than Nassim Hamed? Yes. Michael Moore? Yes. Gervonta Davis? Yes. Zab Judy? Yes. Vasily Lomachenko? I don't know. I don't know. Who's better? I say Lomachenko, but I mean, listen, Calzaghe retired undefeated, beat Roy Jones Jr. and Bernard Hopkins. Don't give me that. They were over the hill. They were retired, or they were old. Don't give me that. All right. Joe Calzaghe had big wins. He was still a very good boxer. Was the super middleweight champion for a decade. Alrighty, then bumps up and wins the light heavyweight titles. I'm going S tier. He's going to be my probably the last S tier for Joe Calzaghe. Trust me. I believe this. I stand by this. As a southpaw, Calzaghe S tier. Chris Bird. So, he had some good opponents. Very underrated heavyweight in the 1990s, late 2000s. He beat Vitaly Klitschko. He beat David Tua. Beat Evander Holyfield. Had some good quality wins. Alrighty. But then he lost to Vladimir Klitschko twice. And that's okay. It's Vladimir Klitschko. He could have beat more opponents, could have won more. But for Chris Bird, I'm going C tier. Robert Guerrero. So I included him because he was around for a while. He was well known. He was a two-division champion, IBF featherweight and IBF super featherweight champion. Fought Floyd, already known for that. Otherwise, I'm going to go D tier, but I really wanted to include him on this list. So I did D tier, though, for Guerrero. Sergio Martinez, one of the better middleweights of the past 20 years. And this is the last boxer on this list because I already have Manny Pacquiao here. I accidentally included 2 photos of him. But Sergio Martinez, very good middleweight, very good conditioning, good power. Beat Kelly Pavlik. Crazy knockout, one of the best knockouts of all time against Paul Williams. Was a champion for quite some time. Unified champion. Wanted to be a pro cyclist, wanted to be a pro soccer player. Starts boxing in his early 20s, which is late for a boxer. Late for somebody to become champion. And he does it. He does it. So I'm going A tier for Sergio Martinez. So only one guy on the D tier. Alrighty, but no disrespect to Robert Guerrero. You could include others. I don't know, maybe Ortiz, all right, the heavyweight, Luis Ortiz, I could say, Landy Lara, Billy Joe Saunders. I mean, Josh Taylor's a southpaw too. I'd probably put Josh Taylor at C tier, but this is my list, and it's not perfect. Let me know down below what you guys think. Maybe you'll change my mind, maybe I'll change your mind, but let me know. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, though. Just a tier list, just some fun. This is the greatest southpaw boxers right here, with Manny Pacquiao, Hagler, Whitaker, Crawford, Usyk, and Calzaghe being the best. Hopefully you guys enjoy. Let me know what y'all think. I'm out, guys. Peace.